Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Blood Freak from 1972. At first, I wanted to review this because it's Thanksgiving coming up. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. And I thought, oh, okay, what's a horror movie that kind of centers around turkey and Thanksgiving? And having already reviewed Thanksgiving, I thought, well, what else could I do? And then I heard about this movie where a stone hippie starts mutating into a turkey and kills people. And I was like, okay, that seems cool. And what I ended up stepping into was, as the DVD packaging called it, the world's only turkey monster anti-drug pro-Jesus Gore film. This is a tremendously bad movie, but also what I usually call like an interesting mixture of things that I never thought would come together, but made in probably one of the worst ways. I mean, this is prime B terrible movie, barely released in any theaters, but somehow got pushed out on DVD and not featured in a Mystery Science Theater episode. It's kind of a miracle in itself that hasn't happened, but it's almost too bad to even do that with. It is kind of both amazing to see and talk about, but horrible to watch, so it's like perfect for Thanksgiving, and just like sort of a miracle something bizarre and weird and bad as this could even get made. This guy named Herschel, who, believe it or not, is named after Herschel Gordon Lewis. There's nothing to really verify that, but that's kind of what everyone says, so I'm assuming the people who made Blood Freak know a little bit about Herschel Gordon Lewis, so I think it's believable. But this guy named Herschel, who's a Vietnam veteran, is driving down the highway until he sees a beautiful young lady called Angel, whose car has broken down, and then she takes him to a raucous drug party, which just looks like a bunch of people chilling out. And then after that, Angel starts telling him about Jesus, and he's like, oh, I could use some of that Jesus. But then her sister Anne is like, hey, but drugs are cool too. So then he gets a job at a turkey farm, but he has to wait a week for I don't know. So in that time, he gets addicted to drugs, which is just him smoking weed, but it's very addictive weed, I guess, or this movie's made by people who don't really know what drugs are. Your choice, pick one. And then after that, he starts working at the turkey farm and is addicted to drug stuff. He's just kind of wrangling turkeys, which is a thing I guess you do. And then these kind of scientists who work at the turkey farm who are trying to up the terrapin. It's that chemical that your uncle brings up when you say you're sleepy after Thanksgiving. He goes, oh, it has a lot of this chemical that dick on the internet can't say. And I'm sure they don't say that. But then you're like, oh yeah, Uncle Steve, I've heard that every year, stop bringing it up. And he goes, there's some young kid who didn't know, and he's fascinated because he's 8, but then when he's your age, he's like, shut the fuck up, Uncle Steve, nobody cares about this chemical. Everybody says it every year. Whatever. They're doing chemical stuff on turkeys because that's a thing turkey farms have. I don't really know turkey farms, so let's just say they do that. If you work on a turkey farm and you're offended, then comment below. I would actually be curious. Maybe that's accurate. I don't know. I don't think it is, but I've never been on a turkey farm, so I don't want to like make that assumption that turkey farms don't have scientists on it. I mean, turkeys are weird, man. You don't know. So then they give him turkeys because they have to test the turkeys they experiment on based on the FDA, and they just give him a whole turkey, which he eats, which is weird because Thanksgiving turkey is like 2 pounds a person. I don't make the turkeys. I just pick them up usually for my wife. So it's like 2 pounds a person. So that's usually around how big the turkey is at your Thanksgiving based on how many people are there. But it looked like about a 12 to 16 pound turkey. I know people think they're bigger and have wide. Anyway, you don't care about turkey poundage, do you? I don't know. He eats this whole turkey and then starts freaking out and has like really weird seizure things, and suddenly his head becomes a turkey head and he goes on a murderous rampage, starts killing tons of people, and his girlfriend finds out, and then they have turkey sex. Yeah, that's this movie. And starts killing people. He either needs to stop himself from being a murderous turkey and killing people and doing lots of drugs, or someone has to stop him. This is pretty bad. This is a pretty bad movie. It is hard to watch. A lot of it is just dark, but it's basically like watching like a lot of dark footage. Sometimes I thought, is this still going? It's barely watchable, which is the reason most people give why Mystery Science Theater hasn't done it. I don't know why they haven't, because it's like Turkey Day is such a big Mystery Science Theater thing, and Thanksgiving is such a big Mystery Science Theater thing that I think this would work out. It's pretty hard to watch. It's pretty hilarious. Oh, and then I didn't mention this in the plot description. There's suddenly a guy talking in front of like wood paneling as opposed to this brick background I'm using this time. He's just like spouting about life and stuff and smoking a cigarette, and you can tell he's reading. He's actually probably the best actor in the whole movie. That's not like saying anything. It's pretty ridiculous. And then at his end segment, he starts coughing really bad. It just doesn't look like they did more than one take. Like they didn't go, we should reshoot this. They just kept it in. And he looks embarrassed, and I don't know why, because he's the director, Brad F. Grinter. The other director, who's the star of this film, Steve Hawks, it says starring Steve Hawks at the beginning where it says Blood Freak, and then it does it later on in the opening credits. Which I'm not sure if he has that big of an ego, or whoever was making the credits was like, oh shit, did we forget him? Better just put it in again and didn't rewatch? I don't know. Steve Hawks, kind of sad actually. He refers to this film as being kind of a dark period in his life. He had just been badly burned playing Tarzan, and he was actually saved by a lion and then dedicated the rest of his life to helping animals, because that lion I think was killed in the explosion and fuel accident which burned him up, and the lion saved him and got him out of, because he was like tied down in the film they were shooting, and the lion freed him apparently. It's actually sad because as much as I want to laugh at this movie, learning about him, and you can kind of see it on his sleeves roll up that he is kind of badly burned. So it seemed like he had a much more promising career, although I don't think Tarzan movies were that big in the early 70s. It's kind of sad what happened to him, although he's not like the greatest actor, so I don't know if he was that promising, but it seemed like he had a better future ahead of him, and that is fairly tragic. But he was in this movie, and it's hard to move on and make fun of him, but he's pretty bad in it. He has these seizure things. He looks like kind of like an Elvis impersonator of the 70s, but like trying to be hip, but he also likes Elvis or something. He helped direct this, and I think mainly because the money fell out, so he probably just got a directing credit for funding it or something. And the guy who's credited on Wikipedia, but in the film it says him and Steve Hawks, also directed Veronica Lake's last film. I think it's called Flesh Feast, which looks a little more competent than this movie does. The turkey head that they put on him and when he becomes a murderer is like paper mache and very ridiculous looking, but they don't show it, which I wish they would, because it makes the movie like more fun and more watchable. But they're kind of trying to hide it. Like, I mean, they're clearly not trying to be Jaws, because this is pre-Jaws, but that whole idea, like, let's hide the effects. I'm like, dude, this is like the turkey face movie. Like, fucking show me the turkey head guy. I don't want to, like, what are you doing? This ain't no cat people. You got turkeys in this. When he goes on the murderous rampage, it gets often ridiculous, but it's just so badly made. And the acting in this, apparently Steve Hawks used the people who were in his like acting programmy thing that he had. I don't know if it was a community college or just an acting class, but he used these people who are kind of novice actors who they're all pretty bad, which you can kind of tell. But then it has this anti-drug addiction, pro-Jesus thing going throughout it. When you're going into a movie called Blood Freak, you're not like, oh, Jesus. I guess that's the trick. I guess that's how they fucking get you. You're like, oh, Blood Freak. I like Blood Freaks, or a movie called that or something. And then you go into it and you're like, oh, fuck, Jesus. It's kind of weird because you think like 70s religious stuff would be find a cooler, weirder slant, but it just looks super lame. Like, why would you be talking at a drug party loudly about the Bible? First off, what are you doing at the lamest drug party ever? And secondly, why are you talking about Jesus right now? It just seems vibe-wise just not the right environment. I don't know. Just go somewhere else. You're killing everyone's vibes. You know, Jesus is cool, but let these people do heroin in peace. You can see this online. It's fairly easy to find, but the amount of times, like, you know, people are saved and stuff because of drugs. Their understanding of drugs is you smoke weed once and you're like so super addicted. So I don't know if anyone who made this film had done drugs. It just seems like they don't understand drugs at all, and they're like, just find Jesus. And I go, no, addiction's a complicated thing, and there's meetings and there's therapy and there's things to understand. I go, no, just if you just find Jesus. And you're like, Blood Freak, what the fuck? You better. Or if you're eating experimental turkeys while doing drugs, which is the thing, I guess that's a problem that could happen, then you'll become a turkey person. I'm assuming that's what they're saying, and not just the chemicals in the turkey, but also why is eating a whole turkey? I mean, it's a lot, but then if you put the bones in there, it's probably not actually 12 pounds or however big it was, probably like half that, because bones weigh a lot, I think. And there's like the empty part in there where you put the stuffing, so it's really not as big, but still, like, I've never eaten a whole turkey. That's gross. He was pretty high, I imagine. If you got the munchies, you could eat a whole turkey, or you're like Joey on Friends in that episode that Brad Pitt was on. I like my Thanksgiving horror movies ridiculous, because after the aftermath of Halloween, we had all these like horror movies based on holidays, like Friday the 13th, or just notable days. Friday the 13th is not really a holiday, but Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine, slew of Christmas ones. Thanksgiving's kind of like, how could you make a horror movie out of it? Like Thanksgiving's one, Blood Freak. It's a holiday you can't really make a horror movie about and not make it stupid and ironic. But the funny thing about Blood Freak is everyone who made this, I don't think, knows irony, but the only way you can watch Blood Freak is ironic, so they don't even understand probably how you would watch it. They did market this differently. If you look at the VHS covers of this, it says a Dracula on drugs. Okay, well, I mean, he is kind of like a Dracula type thing, but wouldn't you want to sell the turkey angle? And then in the DVD era, when irony was a lot stronger, there was irony in the 80s, but they weren't doing that in marketing as much. And then they did the world's only turkey monster anti-drug pro-Jesus Gore film, which is probably the subtitle on this video, because you can't really beat, I mean, that's like pretty good. Can't beat that shit. That is amazing marketing. I mean, damn. And if you look at the poster for that one, they really went for it. It's kind of so ridiculous that they're like, hey, let's make this like Gore movie about a turkey and put Jesus in there too. But I guess it's like, if you're already at the turkey Gore movie party, adding an extra thing. It's like Thanksgiving and someone's like, what if we put this on there too? And you're like, do I have to make it? And they're like, no, I'll make it. And you're like, fuck, who cares, man? Just put it on the table. Let's eat. And you're like, wait, Indian food, that doesn't work. But you're like, kind of like, I'm tired. I don't care. Maybe Blood Freak is actually the most Thanksgiving horror movie, because it has like way too many things, but by the time you're sitting down, you're either too hungry from waiting to eat or too tired from making the food to eat to give a fuck, and you're just like, let's just sit down, eat, and enjoy this and get this done with. Oh my god, I just realized this is the perfect Thanksgiving movie. I mean, not to watch actually on Thanksgiving or anything like that, but metaphorically, which is like something I'm sure your family really would dig during Thanksgiving. So anyway, don't watch this during Thanksgiving, but I think it's a great movie to watch with friends. I watched it with a friend. We had a good laugh. That's why I'm at this different location. We had a good time. It's fun to laugh and joke around during. It is a horrible movie. It is 70s as fuck, as the kids would say. It looks like a Mystery Science Theater movie. I mean, having the guy's name twice in the credits is pretty ridiculous. And a very much Mystery Science Theater thing reminds me of Attack of the Eye Creatures. I've seen in a couple of reviews people say it reminds them of Ega, which Mystery Science Theater did do. It's so like Mystery Science Theater B-movie kind of a film. Riff Track, seriously, has someone, I can't find that anyone's done Blood Freak, but it's just kind of remarkable they haven't. I don't know. Blood Freak is kind of one of those things that you watch and explain to people what you just saw, and normal people would be like, right, I watch Big Bang Theory, I don't care about you. Or they're like, holy shit, are you serious? Just ridiculous, but it's not as much fun to watch. I just think if you're gonna watch it with a friend, joke around during it, have some pretzels and some beer, and have a good time with Blood Freak. If you are one of the people who loves cult and B movies, and you love telling people you saw this ridiculous thing and talking about a weird movie, Blood Freak is it. It's just bad as in actual film. It sucks. It's awful. It is one of the worst things. It was actually hard to stay awake during when you run out of material and you're just like looking at each other and like the screen's black. What's going on? And you just turn to your friend and like, how are you doing, by the way? How's life? Then you're like, oh shit, the turkey head guys, he's killing people. Oh cool. They're bleeding and he's drinking their blood with his hands. Should have gotten a bucket or a tarp or something. Blood Freak's a ridiculous, fun, stupid ass movie, and if you're hanging out with friends after Thanksgiving and looking for something to do, Blood Freak is it. And you can fall asleep during it and you won't go, oh, I should watch the end of that, because you won't care. Although the end is pretty ridiculous and involves a turkey praying to Jesus, and what more can you ask for on Thanksgiving than a turkey head monster man praying to Jesus? Isn't that what America's about, and Thanksgiving in itself? Blood Freak is a ridiculous gem of a bizarre movie, and the only one that combines turkey monsters, gore, Jesus, and anti-drugs all together in an amazing 70s B-movie cult package that you never really thought could ever be made, because why would you ever be thinking this? And for some reason, these people did, and they made this movie where this guy lectures you about life and then coughs a lot during, and it's a magnificent achievement in human evolution, or just a mistake of a bunch of people in Florida in the 70s. So if you've seen Blood Freak and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.